we started. So before we officially start, what's that happen now? It doesn't matter. I can do it like this. Before we officially start, thank you everybody for being with us. Confirm why is it transcribing now as well? Thank you for being with us, and we truly apologize for the technical issue. Usually we don't need a password to get in, but we started apparently on another link, and then it initiated the password. So we were waiting for everybody and said, "Hey, where are you guys?" And then with the technology, it turned out that we were in two different rooms and we could not speak to each other. So with some technical running by Alice, our communications manager. Thank you for holding with us and still being with us. So the webinar itself, it's 30 minutes, and where we're going to present a tool with one of our partners around customer-facing analytics and reportings. But the event has been scheduled for 45 minutes, so we encourage you to stay afterwards, where we would love the opportunity to have a discussion with you guys if you have any questions around data reporting and etc. based on what you guys are hearing. But we will be able to end on top of the hour, so 5 o'clock CET, Central European Time. We will be able to close this down, but we encourage you to stay a little bit further. This webinar is also recorded and will be sent to you together with the assets, the links, and the things that might come to it. During the webinar itself, you are more than welcome to ping and ask questions in the messages app. But we will, out of respect of the time and the structure, save them and then bring them up once the presentation is over. If there's anything else around that you're wondering, please send a message to Alice Carlson, who is our communications manager, and then she will be able to direct you. You are welcome to put the video on, but it's not necessary. It's up to you, but it's always nice to see you guys. We will for now let everybody to be muted, and then we open it up a little bit later. I encourage you, in your name on this Zoom call, is that you put in parentheses a little bit of like from which organizations that you represent, if there's an abbreviation or something like that, but more importantly, the country that you're from. It's always good to share our common activity that we are in from all parts of the world. And UBI Global, it's in our name as well, that we always try to support to build bridges around the continent that we are on. So that was just some administrative aspect of it, and I'm going to officially kind of get this recording and webinar started. But once again, thank you for being with us here today, and we hope that we can show you something that you find valuable when you are running and operating your incubator. Okay, so I'm gonna do like this, and then just share, and officially say welcome everybody to UBI Global's webinar series for incubators and accelerators. this series, we call it Industry Forward, a partnership series where we at UBI Global have invited a partner, an actor, a service provider, or an ecosystem initiator that we believe brings the industry forward. And the industry that we are talking about is, of course, business incubation and acceleration. UBI Global, we are an interactive learning community for business incubators and accelerators. And our members, with many of you guys that are here today, comes from more than 90 countries and across all different types of sectors, supporting more than 100,000 startups. At UBI, we do 4 things. We benchmark, we recognize, we educate, and connect. And today we're going to focus on the education and on the connectivity part. And with me to support that today, we have invited Basile Alamartine from Toucan Toco. Hi, Basile.
Hi, Ali. Thank you
How are
for giving me the occasion to host this webinar.
So the reason Basile is here today and Toucan Toco is that we are at UBI Global a client of Toucan. And you will be able to see why. And many of you might have already gotten access of UBI's version of the Toucan in terms of our benchmarking and ranking service when we deliver that back to you. We are right now and the team developing it even further, and it's going to come more data into it, more insights, more educational piece of it from UBI point of perspective. But Basile, you are here today to take that conversation on a different angle. So why have we invited you for this webinar?
Thank you once again all for being here. My name is Basile. I work as a customer success manager, team lead for Toucan Toco, which is a software editor that specializes in building projects that allow our clients to share data to external partner. It could be for investor, for customer, for the general public. So my know-how and the reason why you invite me today is how to leverage the data you have today within your organization to share, to create value for your business partner and to share value and to create obviously value for yourself.
So Basile, I invite you to take over the screen, and we'll take around 15-20 minutes to present a little bit about some of the aspects that we know that you guys as an Incubator Accelerators in our community have as a challenge. And one of them is, of course, when it comes to communicating your data. We're good at defining data, trying to help you put it into context, but communicate and showcase, that's the next step of it. And hopefully we'll give you some spotlights and some insights around that.
Exactly. So we're using the term data storytelling as a general way to communicate the idea of whenever you need to communicate data to external partners. And I believe that there are 3 main ways for startup incubators that sharing data could bring a lot of value and help you achieve strategic goals. The first one would be to help you build your brand, create brand awareness. You, I believe, you should know it more than I do. You are in a competitive space where you have to get the attention of potential investor, get the attention of startup co-founder. And so you have to create your brand, to create a strong brand and to push out your reputation to help you gain business collaboration. The second way you will be able to leverage data communication is to build trust. You will ask investor to trust you with high amounts of money in a space that is known for being a gamble, maybe not a gamble, but highly risky. And they have to trust you for years in end without a lot of visibility. That requires a high level of trust, but also with a startup you work with. When a startup co-founder decide to choose you as a business partner rather than another organization, they basically trust you with their life projects. So once again, you won't get that without a high level of trust. And you will see that there's a great way to foster this trust using data storytelling. And finally, the third strong thing you can do with data storytelling is building operational excellence, especially for the startup of your programs. You will be able to equip them with the best tool to reach operational excellence faster. We can start with the first one, brand awareness. When we are talking about brand awareness, there are two main domains. The first one is the notoriety. You want to be top of the mind of people when they're thinking about startup incubators, maybe especially if you're specialized in a given market, in given expertise. So you can create content based on data, can create insights that are valuable for people you are hoping to work with, to do business with. Once again, it could be the general public, but it would most likely be a potential investor, shareholders. It could be public organization. It could be startup co-founder. And by creating valuable data-based insight that you will share and give this value to those potential partner, well, you will boost your brand, and they will come to your blog, your content, and then from this content, they might come to your website and recognize your brand. I do have a live example that has been done here by a French asset management firm called New Alpha. They have done it's simply a landscape of a very specific field, which is French early stage fintech in 2024. And they have a very simple dashboard with the repartition of a startup by driver, by domain, and you have the list of all the startups they have identified. And that's a great way to not only create content they have shared and that have brings them a connection to their website. That's also a great way to do the second thing you want to do with when you build your brand, is to build your reputation. By that, I mean, you don't only want to be known, you want to be known for your expertise, you want to be known as the best. And by showcasing that you do have a very specific knowledge, a good insight of the market you are working, the space you are working within, that's a great way to do that. An example you might be aware of is Carta. Carta is software for shareholder management, table management, raise funding management. And so obviously they're specialized in the issues that shareholders of especially startup and scale up and co-founder might have. And they do have through the software a lot of insights that are very useful. And so in their blog, they have a data and research part where they frequently communicate those insights, where they will analyze trends in terms of fundraising, the average size of the fundraising operation, the different kind of where a fundraising operation might be structured. And obviously, that's a great way to showcase that they really know what they are talking about. So those are The first part, how you could use data to create valuable content you can share to boost both your notoriety, but also your reputation. The second part is about trust building. There is a story about, forgot his name, I think it was Michael. Well, it's not really important, but it's a famous investor that was made famous by the Big Short movie. He was one of the only investor, maybe the only one, when in 2008 managed to foresee the financial crisis, and by this insight, he managed to make hundreds of millions of dollars for himself and for its clients. The issue, though, is while he managed to make them rich, in 2009, none of those clients, none of those shareholders wanted to work with him again. Why? Because performance only might not be enough. You need performance. And obviously, when you're going to convince potential shareholder, when you're going to convince potential startup co-founder to work with you, you will try to prove that you have a good track record. You will try to prove that you have a great investment strategy. But on the long term, that might not be enough. And in this case, it was not enough because the way he managed the communication with its own clients, its own investor during this crisis was definitely not great. He forced his own client to stay invested in the midst of the crisis where they were stressed, and most of them wanted to take their money back and save whatever could be. And so in the end, he was right, but it broke the trust they gave him. If you want to build trust, there's both a really easy way to do it that could make an enormous difference, is by building transparency. We have been working with Eurazeo, which you might know is a leading investment firm in Europe. I do believe they have more than 30 billion euros of assets under management. So they are not exactly a small size operation, but they are facing exactly the same challenge that you might have as a startup incubator, which means that half of their job is to find potential investor to trust them with money, and half of their job is to find an enterprise to invest in and to follow and to help grow. And so they needed to create a very high level of trust, especially as, once again, you most likely are most aware of this than I am. In 2022, in 2023, and probably today again, there's been a lot of trouble in the investment landscape. And I think I saw somewhere half of the current investment firm have no guarantee today that they will be able to raise money against the next round. So they could be in a death or life situation if they can't find the cherry on the top that will make the world difference to convince that they should be working with a specific investor rather than other. And you as you have leverage data communication to create a simple, it doesn't have to be excessively complicated. You can have a simple table chart that will contain a few KPIs that does make sense for the type of startup you are working with. Obviously, if you are working with a B2B or B2B startup, you might focus on sales indicators or marketing indicators. If you are working with a SaaS startup or deep tech startup, you might not want to look at exactly the same indicators, but if you have a list of all the startups that are part of your portfolio, you do have the indicators that allow to follow the health of the portfolio as a whole in a weekly update. And more than that, you could make it so that this table chart will be accessible in an autonomous way for your investor or potential investor. And by doing that, the simple fact that they could access it whenever they want means that you are holding yourselves to a very high level of transparency. And that's incredibly reassuring for potential business partners. The third way to use data communication is to foster operational excellence, especially when you're working with an early stage startup. It will be frequent that they won't have a lot of tools, a lot of process or very mature tool and process. It can have very good idea and very good know-how, but that's the nature of early stage organization to be a bit chaotic. Well, you could equip them with ready-to-use state-of-the-art operational cockpit. It doesn't, once again, have to be very, very complicated, but you could create a template with the KPI that would make sense for the startup you are working with, where they could see, for example, you choose the top 6 to 8 KPIs that make sense, where they will be able to follow the cash that's left, their top 5 prospects, their website traffic, any operational alerts, etc. You decide what makes sense. And once you have this template, well, your startup will be able to perform better. And not only that, but you will be able to use this as marketing argument whenever you're trying to reach and convince startup co-founder that they should work with you. You could prove to them that not only that you will be able to bring them operational value from the first day. So let's say, okay, one of those 3 main objectives is very important for me, at least, and I do believe that I could communicate data in a more efficient way with all that could imply. But now I'm wondering, what does that mean concretely? Let's say I want to start a data storytelling project. What should I have in mind? Well, what your user will see the charts. Obviously, ideally, it has to be in a nice and modern user experience. But there is a lot that they won't see, and that you have to do it right. You have to make sure that data is secure, that you find a notification way for them to access it. You have to make sure data is up to date and is correct. That being said, don't worry too much, because there are solutions today, obviously to kind of one of them, that allow even relatively small organization who don't have unlimited human resources to put for such project to achieve great results. If you want to start a project, obviously the very first step would be to ask yourself, what would be my goal? What am I trying to build my brand, to build trust, or to foster operational excellence? Once you have defined the kind of goal you want to achieve, the second question then would be, okay, what data do I have? Where can I get it? How can I get it? You could have a simple Excel file that you will update, and it could work. It doesn't have, once again, to be too much complicated. You could also, if you are using a specific software, or maybe you do have a data warehouse, databases, you could obviously use that. You could, and that would make the most sense for the second and third project I talked about. If you want to share data, internal data, basically, to your shareholder and to your startup. This data cannot come from the outside. In contrast, when you're trying to communicate on data insights that might not be specific to your organization, but might be more specific to a world market or a technical field, then you could access data sources that are public, maybe not free, but that are accessible. You could run a survey, maybe with the help of a specialized organization. But obviously, you have to find the data, make sure it is qualitative. You will have to ask yourself, okay, how can I prepare the data? Maybe filter it, maybe aggregate it. And you will have to ask yourself the question of maintenance. Ideally, for example, if you are talking of a table chart, it will give access to your own investor. They would like it to be up to date. So you have to ask yourself, what would be reasonable frequencies of update, and how should I update it? There is a solution to automatize depending on the sources you have for your data. It's come from another software. For example, if you are using a CRM or something equivalent, you could connect this data source to the solution you will use to display data and make sure that it is automatically updated. That would be ideal. If you are displaying data that is manually updated, you will have to take into account that the fact that you have to take some time, once a week, once a month, maybe once every few months, depending on what makes sense for your user and your organization. You will have to take that into account. There is a question of security. The security of data, so it's most likely, if it's internal data, it's most likely sensitive, and you have to just make sure that it is hosted in a secure environment. There's a lot of solution for that. There's a question of the front end. The front end is what with a landing page your user will use to access your data. And if you want them to have an autonomous access, in contrast with sending them a PDF report once every few weeks, well, you need an application or web app, or well, you need an internet platform, which means that really you have to ask yourself about the design in terms of what are the indicators, the KPI I want to show, the charts, what are the best way to display in a very easily understandable way the data I want to showcase. But you will also have to have this web app. And maybe if you want to build it in-house, that would take a lot of front-end dev time. But once again, there are solutions to avoid that. And you will have to wonder what would be the authentication solution. So if you want to create a blog content and share it publicly, obviously you won't put any password to access the content. That would be contrary to the goal you're trying to achieve. But if you're trying to share sensitive data, you want to make sure that user A only see data that user A should be seeing, not the data user B should be seeing. So there is a three main standard way to manage that. It's not a particularly complicated thing, but you have to think about that. And finally, deployment and the communication around the deployment of your solution. That once again would be mostly important if you're trying to do some data journalism and to build your brand. So it doesn't, you can't just have a great content here and wait and hope that people will come to your website and look at it. You will have to promote it in some way, like any other promotion operation. But it would be too sad to create a great insight for results, very low impact result, because you will not have thought about how I put this accessible to the people we want to work with. What could it look like? I've told you that there are solutions, and I can showcase you a solution like Toucan, which might not be the way to achieve such a result. But what I've created here, a demo application with a few KPI. So this is a screenshot of a web app that you and user would have access to. And you can see they have a few compact KPIs where you can keep them on top of your mind. And they could access on the left menu, you can have what we call chapter, because there is this story, this idea of data storytelling. So you have chapter and story. And within those chapters, you could display more complex charts and more complex information depending of the level of complexity you want to have and the use case you might have. If I click on it, I should switch to the platform itself. So I'm here, I'm logged in as an admin, and I want to show to you that it would be very easy for you to create such content. I will switch to the conception mode. The first thing you can see, so I do have a few KPI. I can scroll down and I can click on a given KPI here that switch me to a more detailed view, but I can also obviously go back to the home. If I want to add a new chart, the first thing I will have to do is to go to the data hub. This is where you will import your data. It can come from a data warehouse, a data lake, any kind of software you have. It can be also a simple Excel sheet. There's no issue. In this example, you can see you have option to preview of your data, and you will have option to prepare, filter your data to make sure, once again, that user A only see data for org A and user B data for org B. Once your data is ready, you switch to the chart edition mode, and I will click here on the edit home. I have a button to add a new tile, and we try to recreate my top incoming voices. So they ask me to choose the data sets that I want to use in this case, and I have to, sorry, I can't access the next button because I had the Zoom edition mode. And so I say, okay, I've chosen my data set. I choose the kind of chart I want from a library of charts. In this case, I would like a leaderboard. I give a title to my charts. I will choose the label. So here I want to have the invoices by company. So I choose the company, and the value will be the estimated ARR. And voila, I do have a new chart right here. I do have obviously tons of other options to choose the color, to choose the display, to make to have a very polished finish, because you want a great user experience for your business partner. And you can see in literally 5 clicks, I've added a new chart to my application. And this application, then you can create ID and password access for you and user. You can make it public for the whole world to see what you have worked on, or you can even embed it if you ever have developed your own internal intranet. You could embed it within your intranet, which might be less interesting for if you don't have that option.
Well, we're gonna discuss that also a little bit further soon, Basile. So yeah, that's great.
I think I hold the 30-minute mark.
That's great. And so before we kind of invite everybody, so Basile, one of the things I was struck by, and thank you for sharing, the importance of it, that these guys that are in the UBI community, they are incubator managers, and as an incubator manager, you have quite a heavy workload already, but communicating the progress of one's organization is very important. So there's a couple of things that I was wondering, when we were speaking also with you guys, is what is the benefit for an incubator using a service, a dashboard similar as a Toucan, then having an Excel file connected to a PowerPoint where they can, you know, put in. So what is the main benefit for me as an incubator for these type of activity than the alternative that might be more
Great question.
yes.
If I had to only stress two things. One is on the back office aspect of things. Excel is a great prototype tool, but it is not great. It's not a database. So whenever you want to edit Excel, if you there might be maybe people accessing the data, you can't manage access right easily. You can't share it easily. You will have to export it in a screenshot or a CSV file. And if there is some manual error, it's very hard to find where the manual error here, and you might not trust your data, which is stressful. The other aspect is in terms of user experience. So you have to think into a user experience. I can give a very specific example, which is one of many. Let's say one of your investor is in a cab and he has an important meeting, is moving forward an important meeting, and has a question about, want to know some specific indicators from how you perform as an incubator. So the solution, either it will call you and maybe you already have the Excel file and you will send it to him. And somewhere in the cab, he has to open his screen and to open the Excel file, or maybe try to watch it on his smartphone, which might not be very efficient. Or he could, and in the case of Toucan, you can access it on your website, and it is in a responsive design. So in smartphone, on the go, in a fully autonomous way, he shows the data is up to date, and he has a great interface. He can check the data as he wants. What do you believe would be the best experience for your shareholder, and what do you believe how it will impact the image he has of you as an organization, the quality of your work?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing that. So one aspect of it, it's when you work with databases and etc., there's a security aspect of it, there's a dynamic aspect of it, and a standardization. And in terms of communication, there might be accessibility, it might be up to date, that it's current, and provides a more of a smoother engagement when it comes to the data to your stakeholder. So this is from Incubator. So could the incubators use this to you know, monitor their startups and their progress? Is that something we would recommend?
That's a great way to use a tool like Toucan. The question you obviously that you will have to ask yourself is, how can I source data? You will have to work with all the startup you work with, and ask them probably to update the data set from time to time. And if they don't do it, you have a data quality issue. But the great thing is that it will give the same view to all the startup within the organization and to yourself. So everybody is on the same page. You create a great transparency experience, you create a great user experience. And you could also reuse this data to feed the dashboard you could share to your shareholder, because obviously this data is connected. You will not reinvent it.
Thank you again. So, you know, I'm going back to the incubator managers. They are, you know, quite busy. They do a lot of those things, and their team might not be that big either to support. So, is there a way for them to get help and support from an organization that knows how to do it, and if so, how do they do that?
There are several options. First, they could work with, there are many organizations. Toucan, for example, do provide professional services, and we are used to work with organizations to set up them a great dashboard really easily and to set up the automation of the data. We are not the only one to do that. You can work with a lot of consulting management agency. And you can also design, obviously, the project so that it will be as easy as possible to set up, to create. As I shown just before, I believe for all I've shown, the most impactful project for the less investment would be to create this table chart with a line for each of the startup, the health, if you want, of each of the startup of the portfolio, and to give access to your shareholder to this table chart. You will just have one sheet of data to update, maybe once a week, maybe once a month, and that will be it. And it's likely that you are already doing that work, but in a less efficient way for a worse user experience.
Well, there is a reason that we at UBI Global use also are using Toucan Toco, but for benchmarking and for other aspects. But at the end of the day, for us, the customer in this case is our members, our community people here, which is our customer facing part of it, and then the analytics is the data that we provide in. But the arguments that I have for our organizations, I would believe that they are the same from an incubator point of view. So when we started, Basile, when we first identify you guys and work with you, we met with a colleague of yours, and that colleague showed us around, and it was actually my colleague that was together with your colleague the first time, and then my colleague was so excited and said, "Hey, we should definitely take a look at this." So what could our members do if they want to know more, or if they want to see and feel this? And okay, is there a way for them to contact you, get some sort
Yes, sure.
where should they go?
What a great transition. Well, in this presentation, I'm showing that you will have access. We have created a specific landing page for all the members of the UBI network to access to a Toucan expert. So if you have questions about your own data process and you are toying on the idea of going forward and setting up a better way to do things, we love to help you and take whatever is the best format in terms of meeting for you to advise you.
Great. So can you, if you click on that, can you show
Yeah,
how that landing page would look like? So
very simple form, and
very
then
simple.
we'll come back to you in a short time to propose the option to meet that expert.
So guys, since UBI Global, we cannot speak highly more than enough of Toucan. They have been a great partner for us to kind of deliver a lot of things. But the more we discuss with them, the more we realized, hey, this is actually something that our members would also benefit. And when it comes to communicating the data and etc., that's one of those challenges that we've heard that you guys said. It's that, okay, it's great that we define the data. It's great that we benchmark them. We love the rankings, but at the end of the day, we need to act on it. And one of those activities is to communicate. But communication goes so much beyond of what UBI does in terms of the benchmarking and the ranking. So we truly believe that regardless if you pick Toucan or other aspect of it, but working with the data, having it secure, having it accessible, having it standardized, and use it as an tool to run, manage, grow, and scale your incubator, it's critical. And we hope that this could be one way for you to get both inspired and an opportunity to do it. And I also know that at the behind of this forum, it not might be Basile, but a great colleague of his will take good care of you guys. And in the event that you decide to move forward, we will always also have a good UBI discount on it. But go and do the demo yourself if you have the opportunity. We encourage you to do it. With that said, Basile, thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
And as you know, when it comes to data, communication, reporting, it's very close to my heart as well. And I always like to be data driven, and when we are making conclusions, decisions, we would like to base it on something, and we would like to have a reference, and we would like to have it. But I also understand it requires a lot from you as an organization. But once it's there, the process flow, it's amazing. And then you can add automation on it and sequencing and with the AI and all of that. There are a few questions from it, and one of them was, will we get the slides? Will we get the recording? Yes, we will even also do a summary of it and an executive summary on it, and invite you to connect with Basile or the landing page. So yes, Vladimir, the top 3 reasons for Toucan or
Oh,
communicating in general. I think it's a great question, but basically, what Basile tried to allude to was, why, but that one, on the overall, you need to build awareness, you need to have the trust building, and it's a showcase of operational excellence are quite big, but within that, it's even further. So we will showcase a lot of things in the future of what you can do with the data, and once it has been nurtured, benchmarked, engaged, impact, and all of those things, so that you can reach your intended goal. And one of them, we hope that this could be a tool also to help you get more funding and to help you to get more investors or more startups and things like that. So Vladimir, you have a great question, which is very relevant. Um, um, and we hope to be able to support that more. One last, or actually 2 things. Please, guys, if you have any questions for Basile, let us know. We have a couple of 5 more minutes to go. Please ask them. But one of the things I discussed with Basile was in terms of, man, this takes time, and regardless of, I like the how to say, the thing that you showed with the iceberg, and then the
yeah.
thing under, like, this is what people see, but all of the things behind it. So how do I find, the time and the organization and to it? And do you know what I said? What others have done
No.
about startups helping the incubator?
Oh, you have been working with startup to get
No.
help?
So what I wanted to allude to is that you guys as incubator manager is that you have a lot of startups that you are nurturing. These startups, they are very technical, many of them. They are entrepreneurs, they are CTOs, they are marketers, they are salespeople, they are young, they can be old, but almost always very energetic and full of ambitions and passion. And this is what you guys are nurturing them. There are many incubators in our community that leverages the skill sets of the startups and their aspect of it. So if you as an incubator yourself and your organization don't have the time or maybe the bandwidth, maybe it's the better word, to do this, ask one of your startups, encourage one that can contribute to the incubator itself, and have them connect with Toucan, because it might end up that they might need it themselves for as the startup, but they can support and help you to build the things that you need to build, and then they can use that themselves as the guinea pig for the data flow of the startup. So don't be afraid of also working and leveraging the people that you're helping. They might even help you, or I know that the best incubators and accelerators have that type of relationship as well. So I sometimes, when I find things that are complex or whatnot, I try to always say, okay, who can help me now? Or maybe better, who can I give the opportunity to help me? That's like that's the way to go. And we encourage you to leverage your startups if needed on that point. Anyway, anybody else has more any questions about Toucan, about data reporting, etc. Please share that. Otherwise, I want to say thank you again, Basile, for coming here.
Well,
And
thank you for the opportunity to
yeah,
discuss about. I love this topic, and thank you all for your attention. It's very pleasing to see there's many people that resonate with today's topic.
I can give you some UBI community updates as well. You probably have seen that there has not been so much communication around the next World Benchmark study and the next ranking opportunity and etc. There's a reason for that, but one of the things, regardless, what we do is that we are organizing ourselves by a bit more to leverage the data that we already have and the benchmark and provide other or build the organization so that we provide other types of value to you than the rankings itself. So in a few weeks, we are actually launching something called UBI Academy, which is a training and a certification program that will help incubators and accelerator operators, meaning the individuals, your team members, to be better operators. So we have different courses, we have different modules, we have different best practices and experts. And a few of those experts is actually you guys as well. And the data already comes from the community. The insights already comes from the community. And so when it comes to tools, education, reporting, engagement to grow your program, leveraging the knowledge that it's already there is something that we're going to do more of, and this is going to come further. That's one aspect, just so you know what's going on in the back end. The other aspect of it is the World Benchmark study. And the study itself is, we are right now speaking with multiple international sponsors and partners. We want to make the study even bigger and develop it even further and go a little bit more granular. But that requires a lot of resources and also requires some funding aspect of it. And we do not want to ask our members, you guys, to fund the study or the part of it. We want it to be free for you. We want it to be able to have independence also between us and you when it comes to the benchmarking rankings. And we are almost there of hitting our funding milestone in order to release when the study is going to be. So that's why we have not kind of push that further. But if you want to have some idea, some indication, and that is that we are aiming to have the data collection period for the next study after in the fall. And when I say fall, in end of September, beginning of October. And how is that going to work? What that's going to be mean, the process and structure of it, we will get back to you. But over the summer and after your vacation, you don't need to stress and worry. We will give you enough time to see the updates and changes, and you will have also enough time in order to collect it. But if you already have a tool, if you already have processes, if you already have these type of stuff, it's going to go really fast for you. But for the benchmarking and ranking, that is something that we will ask of you to and invite you to participate end of Q3, if we say it in that way. And that's going to be more relevant. But we hope to be able to confirm it very soon. We just need to hit our funding goal for the study. And that's where we are today. Huh. Any questions more than this? Okay, I will leave it to that. I
So
hope.
there's a question for you. What type
Yeah,
of
so
data are you thinking of from the incubator's perspective?
okay. Any more events? Okay. What type of data are we thinking from the incubator perspective? So there's a few things. We as UBI, we have data that we ask of you in order to showcase your impact and performance, and we use that for benchmarking and ranking purposes. But then you as an incubator, you have a lot of data that has nothing to do with UBI. And it has everything. It has a lot to do with your stakeholders, and those stakeholders are, it could be your startups, it could be your partners, it could be your funders, it could be your board, it could be your university, and etc. They have a set of data that they need on a continuous basis. And those data points is usually in your annual reports or in a communication or whatever channel. And if you then go in and do a demo later on with Toucan, they will be able to show you a range set of data points around that. And this is one of many of those things that it's a little bit outside of the purview of UBI when it comes to the benchmarking and ranking, but it is definitely in the purview of us helping you become better operators, which is why we are launching the UBI Academy. And in the UBI Academy, there will be a full course almost and modules just speaking about data and data points and different stakeholders and what you can do. And that has nothing to do even with the tools, just that question, Nanila, which is it's great. I love it, just so you know. But it's another aspect of UBI's support and offering, and that's on the education piece. And we will invite other actors to speak on that behalf. And maybe we will invite Yes Delft to share of how you communicate to your industry partners, which I know that you're doing really well already today. So great question. I really need to wrap this up. So I'm going to wrap it up with the answering what Vladimir is also saying, which was the webinar series about AI. We recorded the rest of the series. It has been great. And how to say, the content is going to be there. And we have integrated that into the UBI Academy. So Vlad, since you participated in it, you're gonna get access to it, and we're gonna continue doing to develop it further very shortly. And that was one of those things that I wanted to show you and discuss with you when I am in Kyrgyzstan with the UN ECE, where I will meet you in 2 weeks. So let's maybe have a nice drink and sit together and talk about Incubator, AI, and data, and just be nerdy. That would be lovely. I look forward to it. Okay, guys, I appreciate you staying with us for a full hour. You are troopers, and apologize for the technical issues in the beginning. We will do more of these things and in different areas, and we hope to be able to give you tools, resources, education in the areas that we know that you are have as one of your main challenges. So with that, thank you again. Have a lovely, what is it, the rest of a Thursday, soon weekend. I hope that you enjoy it, and I look forward to see you guys soon again.
Thank you. Thank you, Ali.
Take care. Bye.
Take care.